Welcome to the Irreplaceable Dental Assistant Podcast, brought to you by Dame, Dental Assisting Made Easy. This is a safe space to be mentored, empowered, energized, and equipped. Well, here we are, friends, another episode of the Irreplaceable Dental Assistant, and today do I have a treat for you. She has been my friend since childhood. We've kind of grown up together. She's been the reason why I've lost my voice in the stands on an occasion or two, but you know her best as Grace Rosemary Jackson. Well, maybe you don't know the Rosemary part, but welcome, Grace.
Thank you very much. I was about to say, I'm sure many people don't know the Rosemary part.
My friend Grace is an Olympian. Jamaica's first silver medalist, Grace? Remind me.
Yes, I was.
Oh my goodness. If you had seen her just after the race, she looked like a string bean, but that had to happen because of the intensity and the consistency of the training, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You get ready at that level, you get ready. And so there was a lot of hill training, a lot of hard training, because the goal really was for the gold. The goal was for the gold.
The goal was for the gold. I love that. But you know something? People don't realize how much it takes to put in the number of hours, the amount of pushing of your body to be able to be at your best and perform for the world in a minute or less.
That's correct. I mean, it might be a minute or less. In fact, a half a minute or less. But it takes dedication, hard work. It takes a lot of pain, understanding your body and knowing that you have to put it through intense pain, through training, hill training, sand training, as well as, training on the track. And the combination of all of those builds that sort of grit that one needs to have the success to get where you want to get to. And as you sit down to set your goals, one always stops and says, well, what is the highest I can really go? And so usually it is an Olympic medal for the sport for which I participate in. It usually is an Olympic gold medal or a world record. So it's one or the two.
One of the things I've always admired about athletes is, in general, we always are procrastinating when it comes to doing the hard things. But in order to be your best self, be at peak performance, athletes do the reverse. They put in the hard work at the beginning. We call this eating the frog. Nike says, just do it. In Jamaica, we said, just make up your mind. But you know what we're encouraging is to be diligent with putting in all the grunt work so that you can see success at the end. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think that training towards a particular goal, particularly when you're out there training, you're not trying to achieve a goal that you will get in the next week or maybe the next month. You usually set a goal that is so difficult that it forces you every single day to not only practice consistency but push the body beyond standards every single workout, whether you are afraid of the workout or not. But the fact is that you push. I think that's what you refer to as consistency, for sure, because every day you go, or as we would understand when we're training at a high level, we know what Mondays are going to be like. So the fear of Mondays come on. But whether or not all of us fear the Monday workout, we are surely present at practice and we go to deal with it. And, you know, we talk about it because we know that we have to do it, because we know that we have set goals that are, in some cases, far beyond the reach. When you're setting those goals, it seems almost impossible to others, but for us who will be working towards it, we didn't worry about whether it was possible or not. We set the goals and we were consistent. Procrastination did not exist in our vocabulary, because every workout counted, and when you missed the workout, you would try to do other things to make up for it. So there was nothing. I didn't even know the word existed then.
Well, you know, I think that word procrastination kills many of us on a daily basis, because when there's something difficult, we try as much to avoid it. And sometimes for some of us, when we can't do better, that's when we do it. This concept of eating the frog really means doing the hard thing first and doing it consistently. And some of the times, you know, when we don't see progress in the way we would like to see it, it's not because we don't have what is planted within us to do it. It's just because, as you have said, we're not nurturing it, we're not pushing, we're not being consistent in learning. And I have found that many of my team members who have the mindset to learn this thing, to push through, to get better every day, they actually compete against themselves, that they are surprised to see how much they can achieve over time. You know, it's not something that you can measure the next day or the next week. Sometimes a year in, you look back and you realize how far you've come, not by happenstance, not by chance, but because you've been putting in the work consistently. You taught me so much about life by sharing your stories about your athletic world, you know, and the truth is, you taught me the importance of discipline. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, if I could just get up and do the same thing that is required of me every day and push myself beyond the next time, I'd probably be excellent at what I do. And so I've come up with this coin: choose discipline over regret.
Regret is usually at the end. So, I mean, the discipline is at the beginning because it carries you the process. So, the regret only comes when you have not chosen discipline and you go through a process, and at the end, you know, you actually don't even know at the time that you're going to have regret, because when you're not choosing discipline, you're choosing regret by default. Because what really happens is that you're fooling yourself to believe that in not being disciplined, you will still be able to achieve.
Yes.
Whether it is because you feel like, well, I have the talent, so when I'm ready, I will. ...
Yes.
And you know, there are many times when, yes, you're ready, and then you just realize that you just can't, because you really didn't get ready. You didn't do what you need to do, and so the talent can only take you so far.
Yes, I understand that it's not just about the talent. Yes. It's about being a good steward, or using the little that you have to improve upon. You know, many times I'll have a new dental assistant come into the office and everything is new and different. And I always say, you know, get a little notebook and keep it in your pocket, because you're not going to remember everything. But you know what happens over time? Repetition, consistency allows them to move to the next step where they're they remember some setups without having looking at the book. And then not only that, they layer onto that basic information different patients' personalities and how to address them, or people who come in with disabilities or other health conditions and how to manage that. So it's building one thing on top of the other, and that is where true success comes in, wouldn't you say, GJ?
Actually, one of the things that I don't remember if I saw it somewhere, if it's something I developed over time. I know I've written it down. Repetition is the art of learning, and that would have had a lot to do with my life as a track and field athlete. But if I think a little bit earlier in my life, when you're learning how to do multiplication, you learn how to add and repeat that process. Multiplication is really a series of addition that gets you to that point that you want to be. That is transferred in its own way to what we did on the field in training. It's a repetition of what we would do weekly. So we had similar workouts over a period of time, and we would get the opportunity to test ourselves each and every week. The fearful days that we knew we had harder workouts, we were like, oh my goodness. When we said, oh my goodness, we didn't say, oh my goodness, and stayed at home. Oh my goodness, today's that day, and we go towards it. So we're walking towards the starting line, in the sense that we know it's difficult. We have done it before. We know the pain, but we are taking on the challenge again and again. And so that is the repetition. It's as something that repetition is in fact that art of learning, because the more you repeat, the more you are able to correct it the following time you do it, and until it gets to a stage that when you're actually competing, you can put together a perfect race, because you have tested all the different areas in the race where you can make an error. And when you get to the ultimate part where you are, this competition is the most important, I need to get everything together, you would have tested that system in the various practice sessions. And so it was part of one of the things that I would always say for sure, repetition is indeed the art of learning.
I love that. And let me tell you what you said that stood out so strongly to me a while ago. Not just repeating it, but evaluating, noting where the shortcomings were, and making an effort to improve upon those areas, filling the gaps. And this podcast is called The Irreplaceable Dental Assistant, and by name, if that's what our listeners are aiming to be, then they have to stay, as I coined the term, on the grow, always improving, always getting better. And so I think this is just such a wonderful way of comparing what happens on the track to how you can be in a state of continuous improvement in life, whether it is at home being a great spouse or a great parent, or the best possible person you can be at work, as you take care of patients, as you coordinate with your team, and as you carry out the wishes or the desires of your doctor. I think it's just a winning formula for anything that you do in life.
Absolutely.
Being consistent, pushing yourself, evaluating, self-correcting, I think that's how you refer to it, and setting goals that are beyond what you've achieved each time, so that you continue to grow.
Looking beyond the horizon. When you go to the sea and you see the horizon, it seems like, oh my goodness, if I can get there. But when you think about it, if you're flying in a plane, you're actually going beyond that horizon. So you can see every time you get to a point, there's another horizon there. So it is pretty much like that. And so I think goal setting is very much like that. Every time you get to a place, you are doing something else, you're doing more that is able to help you get to your ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, every time I have a discussion with you, we have discussions that's such filled with such great nuggets. You know, I'm glad you had the time to come and share. You're all the way in Trinidad. Glad to see you here in Jamaica for a few days. Glad to catch up with you. I have a question for you. I always end my podcast with a quote. Do you have one that you'd like to share with the viewers today, or the listeners, I should say?
I have so many. Let me think about which one would be the best one. So I think the one that I think is the best one in the ones that I think that I would think about really on a day-to-day general basis would be this one. If you cannot do great things, do small things in great ways. How is that?
Oh, that is awesome. That sounds like MLK, Martin Luther King Jr.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I
have
a dream.
Cold bumps.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gives me cold bumps because there's just so many lessons. There's so many quotes you can take from MLK because, you know, he lived that tough life and he stayed the course and he knew. He went to the mountaintop.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, so there are so many quotes, but that one has resonated with me fairly, quite a bit.
So GJ, you have to make me a promise in front of all these people. You ready?
Wow, I don't know. That sounds a little bit scary.
Nothing too scary for you. Remember, you just told us you're going to push through it.
Oh, yes.
That you will come back and be our guest in the future. Will you consider?
Well.
Seriously?
I guess so. Yes, sure. Why not? Why not?
Well,
I'm sure you have a wonderful audience. And so I'd be happy to if you find the need for me to come back, surely.
It was my pleasure to chit chat with you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. God bless.
Thank you very much, and the very same to you.
Always so much fun talking to my friend Grace Jackson. She reminded us in Jamaican vernacular to just make up your mind, or as Nike says, just do it. Eat the frog. Do the hard thing first. And always choose discipline over regret. Or you will choose regret by default. Bop, bop. Pain is necessary for growth, so don't avoid it. Make up your mind and push through it. And remember that repetition is the art of learning. Just do it over and over again until it just becomes not second but first nature, right? And listen to this. Go beyond the horizon. I hadn't thought about that example. When you're in the plane, you've gone far beyond what you thought was the horizon and you continue to go. Set your goals high and go. And finally, always, if you can't do great things, do the small things in a great way. Thank you to my Olympian friend, Grace Jackson. I have to get her back sometime soon. Because you know why? Life is better when we live, learn, and grow together. If you like this episode, remember to share, subscribe, like, do whatever it is, but don't keep it to yourself so that we can enjoy a fruitful life. Blessings.